Yang kinchi vidang idawahurangwa sage suayang ratanang panitam nano samangati tatagatina idam pibute ratanang panitam etina sachena suati hotu. It's good to know that if you're purifying your mind, you cannot purify the mind deeply enough if you become attached to a technique. It's like, if you want to come to this point, you can come from the air, you can come by car, you can walk. There are many ways to get here. But if you think you can only walk, it'll take you a long time. What if somebody rides up next to you and says, "Here, get in the car." You'll get there a little faster, more comfortably. But walking may never get you because you might get hit by a car. So if we attach to a specific method, then we may not fully learn something that is available to be learned. But if we come with an open mind, maybe you learn more. So a lot of people come here because they're Buddhists. Are we Buddhists? What does it mean to be a Buddhist? Was the Buddha a Buddhist? The Buddha was awake. That's what we want. And especially, we're all just trying to wake up. And we all have different ways of waking up. I've tried a few different ways. And every way can get you more open. But I found this way fit for me to open the most. So that's important. But it's not for everyone. So if you look at the world, there are so many ways that people are following. And some of them wake up and some of them get more deluded because they become so attached to their way. And then they forget where they're going. Like tourists, they go on a cruise, and the cruise is to see a certain country, then another country. What if the cruise ship, and this happens, gets stuck? Like during COVID, I heard about people who went on a cruise ship and they couldn't go to any country because they had COVID and they weren't allowed to land. So then, what was the point of the cruise? So many things to ponder there. But the most important thing is to find out who or what is cruising. What is it? What is that? Because we don't have to go anywhere. It's enough to just be here. Be present and open to what is here. Here, wherever you are. Even if it's in Beijing. Everything will teach us wherever we are. And if we don't go out to find it, it'll come and find us. If now you're young, one day you'll be old. The body will teach us about old age. The body will teach us about suffering. And suffering is the key. Until we suffer, we cannot fully understand the truth. This is the Buddha's teaching. So if we had everything, the world is perfect, there's no big wasps. We can go anywhere we want. There's no freedom in that. That is just addiction. And that's slavery to the world. That's what all the cruise ship companies want you to do. Come and take our cruise to all the countries in the world. Then you'll come back with all these photographs to show everyone. Then you'll need a new iPhone. It just never ends, the wanting, the getting, the becoming, the being. It never stops. Even in the monastery, it follows us here. You know, when we first came, we had nothing. This wasn't here. Now this is here, so we're always fixing it, trying to keep it going. Change the chairs, make better this, make better that. This is the world. It just keeps grabbing your attention and creating busyness. But we live in the world, and if we didn't have this temple, we couldn't meet you. So we're glad that we have it. What we perceive through the five senses is different than the way we learn the truth. You cannot perceive what is true through the normal perception of physical sensation or optical perceiving, like looking and perceiving what you see. The perception of the mind itself cannot know the truth. But the knowing mind that has given up the world, that's intuitive. And it's not based on the five sense doors. It's an intuitive knowing. And it's very hard to talk about that experience in words. The experience of knowing truth is one that one tastes. It's a very internal, it's very pure. There's nothing to talk about in language. You can't translate it. But you can experience it. And you may experience that truth in a way that's different than someone else. But through your own awareness, you would just be very content. Well, you know, I'm just walking the path myself, and so I've had to learn how to climb over rocks. And I can tell you how to climb over a rock. I got very attached to techniques that I learned, and then I remember coming to one monastery where they didn't use that technique, and I was so full of myself. You know, like, they don't know what they're doing. I really was very conceited because I thought I had the technique. And then that's why your question really spoke to me, because been there, done that, and it's painful and there's no compassion there. Because you see people that are trying to keep virtue foremost in their life. And if you keep virtue foremost in your life, you'll never harm yourself or anyone. So if you just follow virtue, you don't have to think too much. You grow wise because you're trying not to harm. And if you come from thinking, then you can be very harmful with your opinions and your thoughts. And that's how all the wars in the world start and finish. Or never finish. if one ends, another one starts. People are always fighting about what they believe to be true. So I try to stay out of that, to be open and to love. Because the moment we're not loving, we're not in line with what is true. And the purity of action and speech is based on purity of thought. And if we think pure thoughts, then eventually the mind becomes very pure. And when the mind is so pure, then there's nothing to think about. It doesn't make sense, but it does make sense in the end. It starts to make sense because you're living from here, from the heart. And you find that the true consciousness is a Godness. And everyone's looking for God, but they don't even know what they're looking for. How can you find something that you're only following because of a belief? But the belief can be harmful. And we've seen how harmful belief is. The world is full of beliefs and isms. My belief is true and yours isn't. But that's belief. All those beliefs and isms are so harmful. And so we try to empty the mind of prejudice. We are very fortunate if we're not born with a mind that distorts our ability to perceive the truth, or our ability to understand virtue and the importance of it. It doesn't distort reality from a cognitive point of view. We have to be cognitively well. Then we can empty the mind of cognitive prejudices that are created because we've been trained by socialization or by indoctrination or by religious teaching. This is a religious teaching. But we try to de-religionize it and get to the bareness of it, which is the purification of the heart. It's very hard to divide experience up and pull out what's right or wrong about it, but let it all go. And it's really when we stop experience entirely. That's what the stillness helps us do. It's the stillness is actually flowing, and the flowing is still. And then neither exists anymore. The mind stops absolutely at one point. So there is no perception and no sensation at all. Then we can know what is true. We can live from the heart. And then through our own awareness, we can fully understand the truth. To know that true consciousness, that Godness, that's a very rare point to come to. And so we come with an open mind to find out and to learn who or what you really are. Because we're all just trying to wake up.